Hello everyone, how you doing today? Been a little bit since I did a video. My apologies to y'all. Sure you all know what's been going on in the world. It's not like anything that we wouldn't know about at this point in time. Um, Now I live in the United States, in the state of Michigan, and now this state is somewhere around sixth place with the most amount of cases in any one state in this country. Um, it's a little alarming. On one side note, though, I live on the other side of the state from where the large density of these cases are. Now, the cases that I seen this morning in this state was around 1,700. Um, Now that's probably going to go up, and it looks like the Detroit area is mostly impacted, but in my county there was also 31 cases. So I've been not going anywhere or doing much of anything, and that's just kind of how it is. Now, I was nervous the last 2 weeks because I went grocery shopping about 2 weeks ago, and my folks are both in their 70s. One has a pre-existing condition. I didn't want to see them. Not that I felt I was in high risk, but the fact is I just didn't know. I mean, I had to go grocery shopping, and I also stopped at a gas station and a pet food store that same day. So as a precaution, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't see my folks. That has been over 2 weeks from now. And yeah, I've had no symptoms, no problems whatsoever. And I think, at this point in time, I'm feeling very, very confident that I did not acquire this somehow. And that's good, and it's making me feel a lot better. But, I encourage you to do the same too, because you just don't know. And you can carry this thing for quite a while and not show any symptoms at all and be spreading it. So just be as safe as you possibly can. I worry very much about my family. A lot of my friends, I have some friends in the Detroit area around my age range. One of those friends that I've known for 20 some years had a heart attack last year and also has diabetes. Now, I had a different friend pass away last year due to diabetes, nothing to do with the virus, but just saying, I wish them the best, and I contacted most of them recently to just make sure that they're in full understanding of what's going on. And that's basically kind of what I'm preaching to you guys right now, is just to make sure um, you know what's going on. And I'm sure most of you do. It's just there are some people that have not been taking it very seriously, and I've been seeing some news reports of things of people doing really stupid things, and it's disturbing. Most of these people are younger, and at one point in time I was that way too, and kind of like, hey, I'm a rebel without a clue. But it's not a good time to be that way right now, especially. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm gonna stop all talk about this, and now I'm gonna do some actual Empyrion building. And to explain what I want to do right now is I want to make a tier 2 miner that also can do reclamation using a multi-tool, and possibly have some defense as well to resist light attacks from drones and things like that. So without further ado, let me just get into this here. And most of the time when I build things, especially as of late, I will lay out like almost a wireframe of blocks. But that's typically when I'm going for looks. Um, in this case, this is a function-based item, and and I already know I'm not going to be able to do much with looks in it, because who wants a pretty miner that can't do good mining? It would be very counterproductive. So on this one, I'm going to actually use the base material I'm building this out of using container extensions. So that's kind of how I'm going to start this build. Now, later on, I will work on, setting these up to actually work as controllers, or get them set up to work with, your storage controllers and things like that. Now, I'd like a fair amount of storage on this. The last miner I did, which was T1 miner, it's the MCRN mole. That one, I think I got around 14K storage on it. Maybe it was 13K. I can't quite remember right now. But this one, since it's going to be a tier 2, I'm going to try to push that up a little bit more. I know from my experiments with the last miner that I'm going to have to use the big hover engines, and the other ones are just not powerful enough to lift a big load. Now, a couple debates I have on this particular one is whether or not I want it to have a interior cockpit. I mean, I prefer that. I like it for immersion reasons and otherwise, but I also am well aware that that's going to increase the cost of it. If I don't have to deal with that, I can use more of the body for say extensions or other things, as opposed to interior space. So I'm still thinking about how I want to pull that off. I'm not sure yet. I'm also a little bit debating on what kind of bore spread and how many drills I want to have on this item. Now, my philosophy with building a miner is I don't want any blocks to exceed the outer edges of where the drills are. So in other words, I don't want to put any blocks over here if this was my maximum width of where the drills were. Now in this case, since this is going to be a little bit bigger, I'm probably going to go with a little bigger bore spread. So I wouldn't want them there. I actually want to bring that out a little bit more. So let's say this is the side drills, and that's given me 7 total blocks across. I'm going to try it there. I think that's fair. If you go too big, you're going to have problems. You can go pretty small, but then you're really constrained to a pretty small miner. And this one I kind of want to be more of a mid-range miner. I'm not even sure if I'm going to use these particular drills or just use the laser drills, but I'm going to try to get it so it can use these if I can. Another thing that has changed with miners from before is all the past miners, except for the latest one that I did, which is a little while ago already, but they all used 6 mining drills, and I would usually kind of rotate those and kind of like move some inward a block on the top. The last miner I did only used 4 mining drills, and it just stayed in a square pattern. And from testing that miner, I actually realized that worked quite well, and despite having 4 mining drills versus 6, it did not get less ore per the amount of time that you were mining. It actually was right about the same. And everything you can do to lessen the CPU, probably the better. So it's possible I may try that same concept again with something like what you're seeing here, of having 4 drills in a particular pattern like that. Of course, this would need to be tested to see how it actually works in reality. But if I put the drills here, that means no blocks below the drills, no blocks on the sides or on top of the drills. One thing that always kind of screws me up too is retractable turrets. And why that is for instance, here, let me grab a retractable turret. Actually, I got some here I can put on right now. Say I put this here, when this is retracted, turrets, there we are. It would appear that this would not obstruct or go above where the drills are right now. Unfortunately, in reality, that's not the case. That from what I've seen with the game, that even though this is retracted, the game sees it as another block row higher than what it actually visibly is shown when it's retracted like this. So that is one thing I'm thinking about too, that I can't put this here. If I wanted to put a turret on this, I would have to drop it down another row than where this is. So I guess on this attempt here, I'm going to try to actually build an interior on this one. Probably not the most logical thing to do, but it would be nice, and I like a little bit of variety from the other miners that I typically have done. The only one I actually did with an interior, I believe, is the Creel miner that was built. And I did like that because, again, it felt more immersive to me. So I'm going to try that here. Now, I don't know what race this miner is going to be for, of the 3 races that I've been working with. Not really even concerned about that too much at the moment. All right, so this is looking like a mess here. Let me just clear out some of these blocks and try to like carve out some interior space here. Interior space, of course, I usually like to have that at least 3 blocks wide. It can be 2, it technically can even be 1, but 3 just feels a little more roomy to me. And here, let me grab some glass here too. Yeah, I'm gonna go armored glass on this one, I think. Again, a little bit more of expensive miner, but I'm gonna try to keep it very tight on what it does versus what it costs. So that kind of leads me to how am I gonna pull this off here? Okay, so if this is the bottom of the miner right now, and here I'm gonna get these turrets back retracted so I can see how far the drills are sticking out from their current position. Basically, I would want to keep everything tight with that. So I wouldn't want like the front of the body to come out past where the tip of the drills are. And another piece, before I forget, I'm going to want to put on here is a harvester, which is just convenient, especially for a miner. So let me do that a minute. And I just soon have the harvester at its lowest position like that. I don't particularly like to build miners that much because, well, I built quite a few of them and it kind of feels like, yeah, I've been there, done that. But, you know, I've got very few miners that are Alpha 11, Alpha 12 capable. So this could be helpful for that. So, you know, another thing I'm going to want to do is grab a cockpit. For the interior ones, I'm going to have to use this and one of these seats here. And I'm going to go with, I think it's seat 2 that you sit down closer. We'll find out for sure, though. All right. So basically, like all the blocks I can use that are container extensions is, from what I've always seen here, if you look at hit points on a steel block versus a container extension, that I believe the container extensions have double the hit points that of a standard steel block. I'm just going to verify that. Yep, and these are 50 hit points base, where these have 100 hit points base. So I have no regrets whatsoever using container extensions instead of regular blocks here. In fact, that's just going to allow me to have more overall storage in the vehicle. Now you see I already screwed up. I was talking about, hey, I want these to be, you know, nothing to go past that, and I stuck a harvester on there that's past that. So let me make another modification here and extend these out another row. Grab some of these again. Now I'm a little bit of debate. I think this works how it is. I think these drills will still be able to drill through the surface without the harvester getting in the way how it's set. I think. Pretty sure. So I'm going to go on that basis right now. So up front here, we're going to want interior space. I'm going to want glass over the front of this vehicle somehow. And you know what, I'm going to do something really weird here, and you might not understand why I'm doing it, but I'm going to build a couple pillars coming down here. These are temporary, and this is so I can actually hop in the cockpit without this thing falling over on me as I'm trying to work on it. Because I don't have any way to move it in game without thrusters and hover engines and things like that. So right now there's my view. Not bad. So when I build a glass canopy around this, I want to keep that in mind on where, you know, where you're actually seeing through it at. So for instance, like if I slap down a piece of glass here, which that's not going to work out so well. Not that angle at least. Maybe this one here. You see what I was fearing is, well, actually I think it can. Now, this is just kind of for testing, of course. I just want to see what kind of visibility I'm getting through there. Not too bad. Okay. Now I prefer to go with the other angle, as I don't particularly like 45-degree angle glass on this, but this thing is not trying to be or appearing aerodynamic at all either, so there's that. Oops. And of course with container extensions, because you get less capacity if you use if you don't use full blocks, I'm trying to keep using them mostly as full blocks too. And it's another reason why I don't particularly like to build miners or things that are so tight on their, you know, on what they need to be to work well, because I get very little artistic ability I can put into it. But I'd rather have it that way and have a good working miner. It makes a lot more sense. Alright, so ugly glass right now. Ugly. I'm gonna try to still make it pretty. It's not like I'm just gonna say, hey, here's a cube, good luck. I'm still gonna try to do whatever I can to make it look nicer, but function is first. That is the priority. I haven't turned on symmetry yet either. I'm not sure if I'm going to on this build, quite frankly, because I know these extensions and things like that are going to be, it's going to be challenging at some point here to actually build this with symmetry on, because one side's going to have to be different than the other in places. One other thing that I've got to contend with too is if I have my floor right here, I'm going to need hover engines in this. And I'm thinking because this is a little bit bigger build, I'm actually going to probably want 6 of the bigger hover engines, maybe more. I don't exactly know yet. That's going to be another can of worms when we try to figure out how much weight it's going to be able to carry loaded in a survival environment. So right now I'm just going to pop in some. Now because I put these below the drills, that means I'm going to have to lower these drills down another block, and I might alter that as well, but I don't think I have a choice, because if I got an interior and a floor in here, I can't just have one of these at the same height, because then you're going to have a breach in oxygen and things like that to the interior. So and believe it or not, the last miner I built was a lot like this too. Just trying to map out where everything goes so much, so before I really try to put any kind of time into making it pretty or even connecting storage extensions together, is just to get, you know, what shape is this thing going to be and things like that. So, and that might be a plan too. Maybe I will move these mining drills up one more block like that. I want to keep all 4 on the front at the same distance sticking out. Alright, so we still have this full block row. We can add blocks here. By raising the floor up like I did there, now I can get hover engines below and not interfere with a potential interior floor, which I did not want to be in the position to have to do, because that can cause a lot of problems too. So here, tell you what. Now how big and how deep this thing is another thing. I'm thinking with miners, I typically don't like them super long either, because when you're in a mining tunnel, more often than not, you might want to turn around, and the longer your miner is, the harder it's going to be to turn it around. Alright. Now, as in CPU and stuff like that, I guess we're going to have to see where Tier 2 is going to come out at with the equipment I want to put on it and the storage. Obviously, a lot of these container extensions that I'm putting in now will probably be cut before, you know, it's finished. But I'd rather have them container extensions now, as opposed to trying to swap out the blocks later and put them in. Alright, some other basic equipment I'm going to want on here is a light, at least one spotlight forward. It'd be kind of neat to have a couple Gatling guns on here, but and maybe I'll try to accommodate for that, but I'd rather have a turret over the Gatling guns. However, you can like go hunting pretty easy with Gatling guns, but you can also do it with a turret, so it doesn't make that big of a difference. But here's a big thing. How should this be over here? Do we want more glass? It's not really needed for visibility. I like to get some kind of angles in here though, but maybe I shouldn't use container extensions for that. Keep the CPU down, and since I'm not using full blocks in the first place, I think it would make sense. So here, I'm gonna try something here a minute. Again, I'm not a super fan of my 45-degree angles here, but I think it's going to be kind of needed to make this work out right. Now, I believe I can put blocks or glass on the top row here too, if I really wanted to. But what I'm thinking is going to have to happen. Oh, here's an experiment. I want to see, can I put blocks here and let me get out of God mode and see what that, I see that looks ridiculous on the inside. And if, yeah, no, I can't have the ceiling there, or that would cause a lot of problems. Alright, good to know. I have to have the ceiling one block up row, or one block up from that, which would be, say, here. Well, before I get too much further in there, what I'm going to need as well is your maneuvering thrusters. I don't want to run any RCS on this at all, so that is also being considered. Just trying to figure out which thrusters would be best for this build. Kind of looking at like the unlock level of them. I thought for some reason that these bigger thrusters required higher player levels. So we got thrusters L, and they're putting out a force of 218. And we've got these guys, and they do a force of 132. So these are 3 by 1. These are 2 by 1. So I would dare say that I would get more force per space from these guys. And then I believe you can also upgrade these to those after the fact in gameplay. So I'm going to try that a minute. Yeah. I mean, these minor builds are kind of fun. It's just a different kind of fun, I guess, because it's a lot to do with trying to figure out how you're gonna make all this work and engineer something, as opposed to doing more of a artsy kind of thing. And also, too, I want to think about the separation of thrusters. In other words, I don't want to put thrusters right down the middle. Like, say, if I had thrusters here, I don't want them in the middle. I want them on the far edges here and here. And the same thing goes for the front view. I don't want them in the center. I want them on the bottom or top or both, to get that maneuverability. So in this case, and this is kind of a bit of an experiment because I don't know how that's, no, that's not, so if I put those there, then my harvester's not out far enough again, so I'm going to have to change that. I think that can work there. Of course, we'd have to try it, but I think how this is arranged, that these drills will still function, the thrusters will function, and this should function on how the game rules work. Now, in reality, I look at this and think these drills would be not usable because they would need to stick out further. But how the game treats it, that doesn't seem to be the case. And one of my drills is off too, so not cool. Okay, so now the drills are clearly in front of everything else. That's good. I got a little bit of extra blocks up here now too. I could do something with this space. say a light goes there. And let's see, what else can we do here? I guess while I'm working on this, on other projects, I can't say I've done much. Been kind of, you know, with everything going on, I really haven't been into Empyrion or anything else lately. Been trying to stay very informed with the news. Also had to, you know, try to convince my folks of the seriousness of this too, because it's a lot of people, they weren't taking it as seriously as they needed to, and I think I got them to the point where that if they decide to go somewhere, that they are going to wear a mask. I even told them to put a scarf over that mask, and I even talked them into wearing like work goggles over their eyes. So that's something, just to be safe. Even if you look kind of stupid doing it, but you know, I don't think that should be the important part of this. So now the next big thing is going to be figuring out how in the heck am I going to have the required item I wanted, which is a multi-tool, mounted to this and not interfere with mining. So what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do to pull that off is out in the back section here. I would kind of want to, let's just build this up real quick here. 3 by 3. Shoot, the door height needs to be 3. Okay, but it goes down one more down there. Okay, so I got to take this ceiling down here. Ah, come on. Ah! Sorry, I think my key was stuck there. I was holding down the shift key and I wasn't registering to remove the block. So let's just say the height is here and the back door would be here. Now, we could probably ramp that up when you get inside. So now this spot here is safe to put a conventional turret. Now in this case, I'm thinking I would almost want that to be kind of something like that, maybe even in a block. So again, it doesn't obstruct the miners. I could use a retractable here too. I guess we'll figure that out later. I may or may not want the extra storage I'll get for not having it retractable. Well, can't say it's super pretty right now, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out here. So up here we're going to need a ceiling. I'm going to try to put in some of these blocks here first. And some of this, I guess some steel here. Just not that one. Ever so trying to get some kind of looks into this, so just something besides just looking like a block. Alright, better get back to those thrusters. So, side thrusters. And I don't think there's no alternatives to the model on these. Possibly put them all the way back. I think I'm gonna have heat problems if I did because it's too close to the door. The door's right there. Yeah, I don't know. I'll bring them in one block, I guess. Okay, so we got side, we've got front. Only need rear now. Not exactly sure how many rear thrusters either. This can be a little bit bigger miner, a little bit more powerful than the MCRN mole. So maybe that would work out. So something else I'm going to want to is, let's grab a ore and wood controller. I don't actually know if I'm going to put any conventional storage on here, sort of maybe a storage box, because really everything that it does is about collecting resources. And why have the other storage on there then? Especially if you're limited in space and CPU. Alright, so that should handle all the thrust. What it's going to need is more hover engines. Of course, I don't exactly know the amount, and I want to keep some wiggle room on these things because of balancing, which I have no idea how it's going to come out yet until it's loaded and tested. Let's get some other main parts in here in a minute. Let me go with the generator. I know there's the super small generators. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use one of those or not. It's maybe not. There's also the super small fuel tanks. Right now I'm going to run with the standard size one, and just see how things come out CPU wise and storage capacity and what items I have on here. versus what CPU tier it is. I'm going to dump in some kind of temporary parts here in a minute. One of those and one of these fuel tanks. Trying to think if there's anything else I'm going to have on here to make it operational. I don't think so. So let's get rid of some of this stuff. And the core, let's dump another core in here. And we're also going to need a tier 2 CPU block. Okay, so just some more temporary stuff. And there's a controller. Temporary again, just want to see how much total space this actually has. So with all the container extensions I have that are at least linked currently, which I don't know how many are actually linked, I'm getting 14,000, just a little shy of 15,000 on storage. But I would guess that I've disconnected some container extensions somewhere, maybe. I think if I did, it would be disconnected in this area here. Or not, I don't know. Alright, well anyway, do I have some fuel on me? Yep. Alright. Awesome looking machine here, right? Just killer looking. I'm kidding. Alright, so what does this thing do right now? How does it move? It does turn. Let me get my hover height up to 3 meters. Okay, so obviously we're completely unloaded right now. I'm taking my hands off the controls to let it settle in place. You know what? But to be sure, I think I have... Yeah, I've got a level platform not far from here. I'm gonna take this over there. And I just want to kind of park it up above that platform to see how it levels out currently. Now, granted, it's going to change once it's loaded, but if I can at least have it so it's... Oh, here, I'm just... Okay, so we're sitting here. I'm taking my hands off controls. I think it's pretty stable. So let's see, how's that coming out? Say it's looking pretty level right now. Which is definitely a good thing. Really any difference. Maneuverability seems okay. Obviously that'll change an awful lot once it's got a load on it. Alright, what does CPU look like? Okay, so looks like we're getting 12,000 at tier 2, and we're using 9,000 about. That's good. I got room to play, and I've got my essential parts on here now, and well, a fair amount of storage too. So maybe I'm going to try to get this one up to around the 20K range of storage when it's done. A couple things I was kind of interested possibly in putting in here is God, it would be nice to get another turret on here. Um, but to keep it, you know, not extending past the drills, it's tricky. I sucked up all this space so I could get in the multi-turret. I could, and I can't really technically do the same on the front because I need that ceiling height here to enclose in the interior. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to get that turret on here. If I, yeah, no, it's just all around tricky. Even here too, I'm gonna have to make sure that you can get up through here into the cockpit area. In which already I would need a ramp or something up here to do that with. So, alright, so in this case, for weight purposes and cost purposes, I'm gonna grab some carbon substrate blocks, which I still plan on using on the interior. And I'm going to just try to put in a little ramp to get you up to the regular floor level. And I still got this problem here too because I've got that right in the middle, which I think I'm going to have to replace those blocks with now some probably steel blocks because it is on the exterior. Yeah. But these are going to have to ramp up the other direction. Maybe something like that. Alright, so here, slop on some landing gear real quick. Docking pads. Alright, so I'm going to get out of God mode, take a walk around, see how it's going to work getting in and out of this. I don't have a ramp here right now, but it's okay. I think it's okay. Okay, so when I walk up, oh, I'm stuck. I am stuck as soon as I walk in here. Okay, so let's try to fix that part of it. I'm going to pull out some more of these full blocks, and that is too tall. Let's do something a little more dramatic, I think, with trying to raise that ceiling up as soon as you walk in. Maybe go with something like that to give me a lot of space. Get rid of those as well. Put them with the thinnest blocks I can. And here, I'm going to just put a temporary block ramp at the back. Make it a little bit easier to walk in. Okay. Out of God mode again. Crap. So So yeah, you can get a little bit further into it, but I'm again stuck here. Right there. Man. These are some of the concerns I was worried about on trying to make one that has an interior and be small at the same time. Oh, look at that. I don't even have these lined up right. Well, I tell you what. I think I'll stop this video for today on this one. I'm gonna try to do it again tomorrow and get this thing further along. But this is just kind of going over, like, you know, a lot of the things I'm looking at when I'm trying to build something like a miner that really needs to do good mining and carry a lot of resources and with some additional functionality on it. Again, I don't think my choice to try to make one that has an interior is necessarily a good choice. I may ultimately just restart it and scrap the interior to pull this off, but I'm going to still give it a good go. I think, you know, you can always make modifications to it. In this case, I'm thinking what actually would have to happen for me to pull this off correctly is I would have to raise the ceiling up another block. And then I would have my interior height that I need. I would have my floor height, and I think it would do better. And that's easily done. So I might take that avenue next time when I take a look at this. I was just trying to keep this pattern here pretty squared off. Now I always could add a couple more drills and expand this pattern out. But if I don't need to, I don't need to, and I'd rather save the CPU. Well, anyway, I hope you all have a good day, and you know, whether you're working or not working right now, it's hard to say, or what country you're in, or what kind of problems are going on, virus related and otherwise, in that country at this time. But just be safe, be smart. If you have any suspicion or anything that you think you might have been exposed to the virus, by all means, stay away from all other people. The best you can, at least. You know, I know it's impossible in some settings to do that, but do what you can. Be smart. Anyway, have a good day, y'all. See you later.